Just recently, we heard the news that FNB was launching their own e-commerce gateway, payment gateway, right? Which is exciting news because getting a big company, big bank like that, making waves in the e-commerce space is exciting, right? So a couple of us got excited. We jumped onto the FNB website and, well, there's not much information to read there. So I set out to find the information and bring it to you guys here in the form of a review, giving you guys some pros and cons from what I've been able to find out about the platform. The first thing is, well, let's see what is it exactly? What is it that they're doing? So what they've offered, what they've created is a payment gateway which you can put into your website, and it helps you to take your payments quicker, easier, and cheaper, actually, which sounds really cool, eh? So there's a few limitations, there's a few things that they're going to have to improve in the future, but this is what we're looking at. It's a payment gateway so that your customers could come on your site and pay through what they call eCommerce Switch by FNB. And then they would be able to, the customer would pay you and you get the money, easy pay, easy game, just like any other payment gateway, right? So thanks for those of you that are joining on live for this video, and thanks to those of you that catch the replay. So let's take a look at some of the pros and cons when we look at eCommerce Switch by FNB. So let's start with the cons, right? What is the stuff that I think that they really need to improve? Certainly they need to improve. Well, the first thing is that they kind of limited by their choice of platform. So right now they only integrate with Magento. I find this interesting. I'm not sure why they launched before they're integrated with other platforms, because there's not many e-commerce companies. In fact, there are some big e-commerce companies. A lot of the bigger e-commerce companies in South Africa do use Magento, but the vast majority of the SMEs, well, they don't go with it. So I asked them about their plans to integrate with Shopify and with WooCommerce, and their exact response was, there is no immediate plan to integrate with any other platforms. I'm sure they're going to change that, because if they want people to start using their platform, they absolutely have to start integrating with the platforms that we're all using, right? And it's not, I don't see anybody switching to Magento just to use a service. So they're definitely limiting the pool of customers that are actually going to start using their service. Another downside is that in terms of their payment options that they offer to us to offer our customers, EFT is not one of those options. The payment options that they do offer is credit card, scan to pay, like a SnapScan type style, and eBucks. I got quite excited about this eBucks opportunity because initially they told me that anybody would be able to take eBucks. And for me, this was going to be a massive deal, because we could go to the community and say, well, now eBucks is actually open to anybody. So let's go ahead, get this payment gateway installed on our sites, and suddenly we can start taking payment by eBucks on our site. Amazing, right? But they backtracked a little bit and they said, actually, whoa, calm down, they had it. That wasn't correct. And while they do have the option for people to pay by eBucks, it's only open to merchants who are already signed up and approved by eBucks. And we know that eBucks isn't taking on new merchants these days. So my excitement around that whole thing kind of waned, right? But when I look at the downside of not having an EFT payment option, it's a limiting factor. So right now, if you put this option on your website, you would only be able to offer a credit card and scan to pay. So it's still okay. We'll get back to why you might want to offer this. But in terms of my list of downsides, my cons, I got one last one to mention. It's just that the process of applying to be able to get this payment gateway, well, it's a very lengthy process. It's not just a case with like some of the other payment gateways where you can go apply, upload some documents, and bang, within 2 hours you've got your account. To get hold of this, you need to register a merchant account with the bank. So registering a merchant account, it's a very lengthy process with tons of paperwork back and forth with the bank. They go through this very stringent approval process. I know when I did it last time I did this was back in 2010, and it took me 3 months to get my account approved. Now they tell me that this has been approved and that it's actually just going to take up to 3 weeks, or maybe 2 weeks is what they said. So it's still not as long as it used to be, but 2 weeks is a lengthy process to apply for a payment gateway. But let's jump into the pros. Like, what's great about this service? Why would you actually be excited about using this? So the first thing to mention is that you get real-time confirmation of your payments. So if you are a company that experiences a bit of fraud, where maybe you've had some payments that you think of being confirmed and then they weren't confirmed, well, if you are using this service, when the payment is confirmed and done, it's done. That takes me to the next positive, because that money clears into your account immediately. So there's no third party involved. You're not letting your customer pay to somebody else and then it gets released to you like sometimes a week later. The money that the customer pays is in your account immediately, which is really cool, because a lot of small companies, we're dealing with cash flow issues, and especially when you've got big ticket items or you need to buy new inventory, You don't want to delay that cash cycle. So getting the money in your account straight away is a big positive, and that's a great aspect of this payment gateway option. Next up is the fees. The fees are amazing. The fees that you are currently paying for your payment gateway, well, they're much higher than if you go this way. And the reason for that is because you're probably using a third-party payment gateway, which means that they are charging the bank fees, and then they're charging their service fee on top of that. So there's like this middleman fee. If you go straight with this offering, which is FNB Switch, eCommerce Switch by FNB, then you are having a merchant account straight with the bank. So this means that your fees you're just paying that merchant fee account. Now they're not going to give us real figures here because you need to apply to get your own numbers. But back when I had my merchant account with one of my companies, my fee was 1.3%, which is really good when we compare that to other offerings in the market. So that's a big plus, a big tick in the pros list of comments from me today. The last thing on the list of positives is that it does open you up to accept payment with some credit cards that aren't always processed or accepted by other payment gateways, such as American Express, Diners Club, and Union Pay. Those cards, sometimes you might have had a customer phoning you up saying like, hey, can I pay with Amex? And you're like, sorry, we don't take payment with Amex. Now you can. So those are my list of cons and the pros and cons. And so now kind of in summary, would I use it? Well, the big pluses being that I can get lower fees and I can get my money in my account straight away. Those are appealing factors. The downside is that it's not available on Shopify or Magento. So right now I can't use it, and I'm definitely not going to switch to Magento just to get this. So that's a deal breaker. I'm not going to use it now. The other side is like, let's say that they take my advice and that they launch on Shopify and Magento. Then in a couple months' time, when they do that, would I start offering it? Well, they still need to actually enable EFT before I'd start considering it. And why is that? Because if I'm going to start offering this option, what I want to be cautious of and conscious of is to not clutter my checkout process. You know, when you get a customer to find the product that they want, to go through the shopping cart process and end up in the section where they're going to pay, if you start offering a lot of different payment options, it can get confusing for the customer. And we also know, like, we don't have complete control over that last step within the checkout. So designing that and telling customers like which option to choose can become tricky. So the more options you offer, the lower your conversion rate. And that's not entirely true, because if you look at Takealot, they offer everything under the sun. But sometimes I see some WordPress sites or some Shopify sites, and they've got so many different payment options. And from a customer point of view, the customer's sitting there saying like, which one do I choose? And as soon as you are interrupting that purchase process, the mental process of making a purchase, you're confusing them and your conversion rate goes down. So what I would like to do is see FNB enable EFT so that I could use this as a replacement of one of the other options, and instead of using it as like another payment option. Does that make sense? So that's where I would consider doing it. They need to make some changes before I would look at it, but the lower fees and the instant cash in my account, well, that sounds pretty damn good. And that would make it pretty appealing to me. So that, in a nutshell, is my review of eCommerce Switch by FNB. Of course, this will be a product that they're going to upgrade. And even though they, as they say, they don't have immediate plans to do many of the things that I need them to do, I'm sure that will happen. And when that happens, check out a blog post on the Ensaka website, because we'll keep that updated as we're communicating with them and hearing about what's coming out. We'll keep it updated there. So check out the website and stay tuned for more reviews on cool stuff like this. Chat to you guys next time.